Welcome back to the Outsiders Podcast, episode 13. It's Alex Cohen and yours truly, Chris Bakke. We are without Michael Girdley today. Michael, there was a new Chili's opening in San Antonio, so he's all tied up down there. But we miss him dearly, and he's going to be back next week. So, Alex, what do you want to talk about this week?
We only have one topic this week, and it's going to be great.
Good.
We're going to talk about the one and only Ryan Reynolds, the most successful actor / businessman, hottest guy, 2020, 2021, 2022, funniest actor, known as Deadpool. Like, we're just going to go real deep into it today. So today's episode is going to be about Ryan Reynolds and probably more broadly, celebrities turned business investors and entrepreneurs.
This is exactly what the audience needs, is two straight white tech guys just gushing about Ryan Reynolds for like 30 minutes straight. But it actually is pretty amazing. I mean, if for most people, it's like if you can be tall, ridiculously good looking, ridiculously funny, a movie star, married to a movie star, a bunch of kids, actually owning, I think, multiple sports teams, owning not only a multi-million dollar business, but now $1 billion business.
Yep.
Like, most people's bingo cards would be like, pick one, pick two. He gets like all 9. What a lucky guy. So
you got them all.
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. So the news this week. Yeah, let's talk about the news this week. So for those of you who don't know, Ryan Reynolds was a minority owner of a company called Mint Mobile. And Mint Mobile was kind of this cellular wireless plan that was offered at a very cheap rate. I think something like $15 or $20 a month. Anyone could access it. It worked on the T-Mobile network, and basically it was kind of today's Cricket Wireless, but in a lot more friendly of a brand. Ryan Reynolds was the spokesperson. So when you're watching TV and an ad comes on, they talk about Mint Mobile. That's Ryan Reynolds, now part owner of that company. And so they got started in 2016. I think Ryan Reynolds became a minority owner a couple years ago, and that's when the brand really started to take off as he was pushing advertising and sales. And they struck a deal this week to sell to T-Mobile for $1.35 billion. And so the acquisition of Mint Mobile's parent, Cohen Company, will also include Ultra Mobile, an international calling service, and wireless wholesaler Plum. So Reynolds purchased the minority ownership stake in Mint Mobile in 2019. He is staying on in his creative role on behalf of Mint, where he serves as the company spokesperson, according to a press release that was announced in the deal. And it has been revealed that Ryan Reynolds owns between 20 and 25% of Mint Mobile. So he personally is going to net somewhere between $200 and $350 million from this deal. This is on top of him selling Aviation Gym a few years ago. We could talk about that when it was sold for $610 million. But the guy just like is joining these companies. He's becoming the spokesperson. Their sales are blowing up, and then they're selling for boatloads of money, and he's making more money in these business ventures than he is as an actor. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, after Deadpool and Deadpool 2 only making $80 million between both of those. So it was nice to see the little guy get a win every now and again. But this is crazy. I mean, I think when we were discussing this in the group chat, it was like, so many business ventures, I think, outside of aviation and now Mint Mobile that he's involved in, that we're going to dive into. I think the most interesting thing for me about this Mint deal was, it's basically like somebody else started this company. It's a wrapper on, this already sort of like legacy brand. And the fact that, you can create $1 billion+ in value in a couple years with like, a single A-lister just doing some YouTube commercial seemingly is insane. Like, I mean, so many other celebrities are going down this path, which we'll dive into, but it makes so much sense. I mean, if that is what a single celebrity can do, and I also think it's going to, like, deals like this are going to completely change the game for spokespeople. Like, we're going to talk about Shaq later in the pod, but like Shaq's gotten critiqued in the past for being like, oh, I'm going to be the spokesperson of, Papa John's or whatever and make $5 or $8 million. No, he probably should be making like $500 million from that, right? If Ryan Reynolds is taking 20, 25% stakes in all these companies, using his brand to promote them, getting his other actor friends. I mean, Hugh Jackman's been brought in to cross promote both aviation and Mint Mobile. This is like an incredibly smart thing for more of these celebrities to be taking equity stakes.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's also not surprising when you look at the size of T-Mobile as a corporation, $170 billion market cap, and you look at Mint Mobile or Cricket Wireless or any of these that have really been built as a small company on top of this larger platform. It's not surprising that they created $1 billion or $2 billion of enterprise value by going after a small segment of the market which wanted low-cost cellular wireless plans. And we think a lot about platforms such as Shopify and Apple and all of these as you could build a company on top of their platform. No one ever thinks about a wireless carrier. Maybe not outside of the tech world. They do think about it outside of the tech world, but building something on top of T-Mobile or AT&T is a fascinating play. I was invested in a company that was an ISP in the UK actually, and they ended up not getting enough traction, and they got acqui-hired and ended up being an okay outcome for everyone. But perhaps they needed that spokesperson like their Ryan Reynolds to go and promote a fast, inexpensive wire or ISP and go get it in the hands of millions of people. And I think the thing that it's showing us is that customer acquisition is really, really hard to come by these days. Facebook ads are expensive. Google ads are expensive. Everyone's kind of competing against each other for eyeballs and clicks. But if you have the right spokesperson as a part of your company who organically has the brand and the tone and the millions of followers, you could bring that cost of acquisition down and hit an entire population of people without spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars per customer and building an unprofitable machine. So
yeah,
I think we're going to
totally
see
agree.
A lot more of it.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about this too is I feel like most celebrities or a lot of celebrities overthink the deals that they're doing. One of the things that strikes me that's very odd about Ryan Reynolds is if you look at his portfolio of businesses, you have this very low cost cell phone carrier where you need like a SIM card for the thing to work in the year 2023. You have a gin company.
Yeah.
He's on the board of Match Group, right, which is the largest global portfolio that owns Tinder, Match.com, Hinge, all these different things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's married, so it's like that doesn't really make a ton. I mean, I think he's just. I mean, he seems to be just going for the low-hanging fruit where he can come in, build a sizable equity stake, and then cross promote to his audience. And I think people may niche down in their audience too quickly, right? Like I think that if the average Mint user is maybe younger, maybe like lower income, the average aviation gin drinker, I think it's a $40 bottle of gin. Like that probably doesn't have a lot of crossover with that like younger audience. You've got Match.com. He's promoting 1Password, right? He owns a big stake of Wealth Simple, I think you mentioned earlier. So this stuff is just like far reaching, and he's using his brand to sort of tap into like 100% of the possible audience that's going to go to like an X-Men Deadpool movie. Like he's going to monetize them, which I think is totally genius.
Yeah, it's interesting when you say that because the Venn diagram of people who drink aviation gin and then buy Mint Mobile wireless plans does not seem that overlapping. And so, I guess he's got a very versatile fan base. But Deadpool is also one of those things where you have to really appreciate the satire and the comedy and the sarcasm to really enjoy that movie. Granted, he was in a bunch of rom-coms early in his career, but Deadpool, I think, was the movie that brought him to the starlight, that made him the most amount of money. I mean, Deadpool did $783 million in the box office sales, and then Deadpool 2 brought in a similar amount. And so you've got this franchise generating a couple $1 billion in revenue. Millions and millions of people are watching it. And so his reach and his audience must be really big. And I think it makes sense. He can kind of just pick and choose what brands he wants to go partner with. A whole bunch of people are gonna go see him and probably buy something based on his recommendation. And there's not that many. I can't think of that many actors or actresses that have that broad of a reach. Like maybe Keanu Reeves is one, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's another one, and he's got his own set of brands we can talk about. George Clooney, Robert De Niro. So there are, and they've done those things. If you have the brand and you can lean into it, I think you go and do that, and you go find the companies to partner with and become their spokespeople for.
Yeah. Was George Clooney like of modern day actors, getting sizable equity stakes in these brands and then like using their personal brand to promote? Was he like the first, not like the first to do it, obviously, but like, was he the I feel like he was kind of like the first to make a ton of money from doing it, right? I think a lot of people have promoted their own merch, or they'll do like a Broadway show and they'll use their own brand to promote that, of course. But like the first actor to say, I am deliberately going to go off and make like more money doing this completely separate thing than I am in movies. Like, was he? I'm trying to think of others.
I think he definitely made it normal. I think when we all saw Casamigos sell for $700 million, and everyone said, "Holy shit, liquor brand can go and sell for that much money," when we thought this was a commoditized space. I think is one of those things that was just not common in liquor as a category. I think that is one of the biggest places where celebrities are operating right now. You hear about a new gin drink or vodka drink or whatever, tequila, that's being founded or marketed by a celebrity, because it's one of those things where traditionally the liquor just sat on the shelf and you went and you bought a bottle based on maybe some ads that you saw or what your friends were drinking at the bar. And now celebrities get to come in and say, hey, this is the drink that I'm drinking. Don't drink all these other schmucks liquor on the shelf. You can drink mine. And so George Clooney did that with Casamigos. And now Ryan Reynolds is doing that did that with Aviation Gin. There's other ones, right? Like what's there was another $1 billion liquor brand. I forgot the name of it that everyone drinks. I don't know. I'm not a big drinker, so this is not my area of expertise, but I think liquor is one of those brands. And we're going to see more and more types of brands actually get marketed by celebrities. So Robert De Niro is one of the more fascinating ones. I don't think many people know, but he started Nobu, like the restaurant Nobu that everyone goes to. It's very expensive. It's all over the world now. And they have 40 locations. And he started that with a chef, and the chef's name actually is Nobuyuki, which I think where the name comes from. But like Robert De Niro co-founded that company, and you would never think when you go to Nobu that it was founded by a celebrity.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think a side tangent is that most celebrities, one of the things that like as a business person that bugs me is when I see celebrities who get really popular really quickly, I think in particular, they always have the worst business ideas that comes after. And I think one of the ones that really makes me mad the most is like Mr. Beast. This guy has, gotten to be the number 1 or number 2 channel in the world, I think, on YouTube. Hundreds of millions of subscribers across like dozens of channels. And he picks like the same lame things that everybody else does, right? He's like selling chocolate bars. He's selling merch. Like he needs to take a page out of this Ryan Reynolds book and go get like a giant equity stake in software companies or alcohol companies that have SaaS-like multiples. Like I was looking this up as you were talking about Casamigos. I don't know if this is true, but it's saying that, when this thing was valued at $700 million, they were doing just under 70 million in revenue. Like you're not going to get that from a merch brand, right? You're not going to get that from a media brand. And so you need to find something that has a decent overlap with your audience. But like I said earlier, I think celebrities probably overthink that aspect of it. But find something that's actually a good business, right? Like, if Mr. Beast falls off the face of the earth and just stops making YouTube videos, are people still going to be buying his chocolate bars and merch? No. But Robert De Niro can like stop making movies for 20 years and people are still going to go eat, sushi at Nobu. People are still going to be buying their gin and tequila. People are still going to be buying 1Password software. Like, I think that's one of the things that clearly agents, like all these big guys at William Morris and CAA and stuff, are probably dramatically shifting how they think about educating their celebrity clients on these things. Because I think we've seen so many celebrities get involved in like sports drinks and alcohol and now increasingly software, right, outside of just being venture investors. But that's like, if you're going to leverage your brand to sell a thing, make it a good thing. Right. And I think that's one thing that a lot of celebrities have obviously missed in past years.
And there's a lot of liquor brands, by the way. As I'm looking this up, it's 63, at least according to Esquire, 63 celebrity founded liquor brands. The company I was thinking about before was Ciroc, which is founded by Sean Diddy Combs. And so that's always been the super popular one in the past. There's a lot more in here. I mean, as I go through the list, you've got Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul who have started a liquor brand. You've got David Beckham. You've got actually a lot that we haven't heard of. So at some point, I think this will become commoditized and you'll be like, another celebrity liquor brand. I don't want to drink that. But for the ones who have the reach, and I think, we talked about Matthew McConaughey and Salesforce a few episodes ago, and it actually makes you wonder, for enterprise sales, is that value there as well for something that you're selling to enterprise clients? And this is very much a D2C product. I don't know if it carries over in the same way to enterprise CRM software as it does. That still doesn't make that much sense to me. But this definitely does. If Matthew McConaughey came out with a bourbon and it was called like 3 All Rights, I probably would buy it and try it out. But I don't think I'm going to go buy Salesforce because he's recommending it.
I mean, I think that's interesting. It's so hard to stand out in software, though. It's like you have, if you are one of, 3 major CRMs, and you're definitely like the leading CRM, but you have a lot of pressure and competition, people chipping away at your business individually, like HubSpot and Outreach and Gong and all these companies are doing. It's like, and you're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar budget. What's going to be the thing that pushes a chief revenue officer or VP of sales over the line, not to buy your product, but to like attend the webinar, show up to the event, show up to like the concert? Like, I think, Mark Benioff has done a great job of this, of just like, it's hard to get people excited about the Salesforce chipmunk. As like a as like a branding play. But if we get Red Hot Chili Peppers and Metallica to play our shows, then we get people to show up to the shows. They meet our sales reps, and the Salesforce reps like do their thing and lock people into like 40-year deals. And I think Matthew McConaughey is probably a good extension of that. But it's interesting. Like what as you mentioned, it's becoming so hard to bring new software to market. It's so crowded. What's the thing that like a Series C, Series D company could do to differentiate from one of their like massive public competitors? Is probably like throw $5 million at an A-list celebrity, right? Get them to come on as like not only a spokesperson, but actually an equity stakeholder or an equity holder in the business, and give that person a significant stake in upside and say, you're going to be on every webinar. We're going to use your name and likeness, and just see, right? I mean, even if it only has crossover with 10-20% of the customers,
totally.
If those people get excited about that, it's a super interesting way to kind of bring things to market.
And I don't think it's going to be just A-list celebrities anymore. It's going to be your A-list TikTok stars, and it's going to be your A-list YouTubers like Mr. Beast and Charlie D'Amelio. And there is a startup bank account called Step that did this with Charlie D'Amelio. They paid her ton of money. She's the number 1 TikToker in the world. I think she's got the most amount of followers, more than the Kardashians, Selena Gomez, everyone. And they paid her a ton of money. They gave her an equity stake in the company, and she became the spokesperson for the Step banking account, which was designed for parents and teens. And from what I hear, and I don't know the exact metrics, it blew up because of that. Like, all these teenagers were signing up. They're asking their parents for it. They will follow what their favorite celebrity does. And a celebrity is not just a person who's in the movies, although I'm sure she will have her own movie at some point or star in movies, which is usually the extension of these TikTok famous people. And so there's all these people who are famous and have a reach that's not just celebrities anymore. And so you've got the Paul brothers. Like them or not, they've built an incredible business empire. Logan Paul's now a professional WWE wrestler, and he just started Prime Drink with another famous TikToker or Viner or whatever, wherever those guys became famous. And it's the number 1 fastest growing sports drink in history, like 0 to 100 million in sales in under a year. And
that's crazy.
They're posting it on their YouTubes and their TikToks and their Instagrams and every single place, and people are buying it. And it actually does taste good. I've tried it. And so I hate to admit that I didn't want it to be good, but it is kind of good.
Yeah, I see it everywhere now. It's I mean, is it really only like a year? They're a year into that with Prime.
Prime Drink sales. I mean, it's been wow. Actually, so Paul confirmed that the sports drink made 250 million in retail sales and grossed 110 million internally, which is crazy. I think they just started it a year and a half ago. I remember when they were coming out with it. And you have to think, Logan Paul's made a ton of money in other ways, YouTube ads and sponsorships and whatnot. But this company is going to get bought by Gatorade or by Pepsi or by Coca-Cola or by J&J for $3, $4, $5 billion. Because let's face it, they're going to get to $500 million or $1 billion in revenue. It's going to turn them into probably close to billionaires. And so it's the best thing I think that a celebrity or famous TikToker influencer can do is go launch a brand. I think merch is kind of it's the old thing. It was easy to do. You drop ship some merch and you throw a logo on it. Now you should build a real brand. I think Jessica Alba was actually kind of the queen of all of this. She started the Honest Company. They went public, I believe, right? They went public at one point, and almost a $2 billion company. And I think not only was she the face of it, but she was the active CEO for a long time. And so, she really started that whole, hey, like, I'm getting out of acting and I'm going to go build a company because I know the brand, I know who my audience is, and The Honest Company made really good products. And so I think we'll see a bit more this sort of bifurcation. It happens one of two ways. Either one, you go and like build this company yourself and you say, I'm actually stepping into the CEO role as a celebrity turned CEO, or you start a brand and you sort of put an acting CEO and you become the figurehead and the face of it, because it's the same arrangement kind of that Ryan Reynolds had with Mint Mobile, except you're there at inception instead of coming in later on.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I guess what do you think the low hanging fruit is here? That's one thing that I always think of. It's like you have 50 celebrity wine brands. You have Ciroc on the vodka side. You have Aviation Gin. You have like 5 tequila brands. You have, Honest Company and Rihanna and the Kardashians going after skincare and makeup and stuff. Yeah. It's like I think it's hard to find these things that are like big enough where you can actually make $1 billion if you get it right as a celebrity, but where you aren't competing with 50 other celebrities. I don't know that actually matters, but I do think about that a lot. Like,
I don't know
who's going to take over like whole milk or orange juice, right? Like, is that all that's left? Is that like
I don't
The
know.
Rock is going to just have a whole milk brand or something?
I don't know what brand on the shelf ends up being sort of this space for alpha right now, but I will tell you where I don't think it works. I don't think it works in D2C apps. I don't think that there is this world in which I launch an app as a celebrity and I can expect millions of people to download it. We've seen this tried now. Chris Hemsworth had launched a fitness app. It kind of fizzled out. I don't think it has a ton of usage. I think that's a lot harder. You can't just sort of either you're relying on your personal brand to market something, which I think has to be a CPG product. People have to buy the thing. I don't think, social apps or sort of general consumer apps. Andy Roddick, for example, is an investor in a tennis app, which basically tracks you can put this camera, or you put your phone behind you on a tennis court and it records your tennis play. And it actually calculates all the speed of the shots and where they went. And then you can play this back and analyze your footage after. And he's an investor in the company, and he's also a spokesperson. It's hard to say if he was the founding CEO, if he wanted to be that, would it be more successful and have more usage? I don't think so. I think there's only so much you can sort of beat a horse when it comes to the marketing behind D2C apps. And so I do think it still needs to be something that people are buying off the shelf for direct to consumer.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Cool. What else do we want to cover? Any other celebrities? Ryan Reynolds. Oh, I think one thing on Rye Guy. I texted him to come on, and he didn't respond.
He didn't want to come on.
Oh. Yeah. But one kind of crazy thing, I guess, wrapping up with Ryan is, and I think we've seen this a lot with celebrities, and we'll continue to see this. I think he founded this thing called Maximum Effort, which is a hybrid of a production company and marketing agency. If you follow Ryan Reynolds on YouTube, he has one of like the funniest, not funniest celebrity YouTubes, just like funniest YouTube channels out there. Like I said, he pulls in these other celebrities. He like co-brands their products. He co-brands his own products like Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile, Wrexham, his football club. And he co-founded this in 2018 with this guy, George Dewey, who worked on the marketing team at Deadpool. And they just announced, I think a year or so ago, that they're part of an ownership group for a 1.2 million square foot studio that's being built in Ontario. So this idea that not only is he like, I'm going to take equity stakes in these big companies, but now seeing the success of Deadpool 2, all these different things, like we're just going to become our own production company and also marketing agency. And we're going to start making our own movies. We're going to own all the production. We're going to be responsible for marketing it. I mean, I think it shows like if he has faith in himself, where he's able to take a SIM card powered cellular service company and, help turn it into a $1.4 billion outcome, he should be able to take his own movies and do a hell of a lot better at marketing them than whatever this like formal marketing team that sits in Hollywood is like able to do for him. And I think it'll be super interesting. I don't think that they've, I think that they've done a lot of work off of like short films. It looked like they had worked with Taylor Swift and helped with a bunch of stuff on her last album. I don't know if they've done any like feature films or, you know, kind of like long form television series yet, but it's something to look out for, because I think clearly this guy is like a marketing genius. And so if he starts kind of putting his own content through that process, it should be interesting.
I find him really funny. I do want to point out, though, the size of their studio is going to be 1/8 the size of the Gigafactory here in Texas. So just to put that into perspective,
that's insane.
I looked it up. The Gigafactory, Texas, is 10 million square feet, which is pretty nuts. I've driven by it, and it takes a whole 2 minutes to actually drive on the highway 70 miles per hour and go from one side of the Gigafactory to the other. But 1.2 million square feet is huge. I will say, when we think about what's next, Ashton Kutcher did a really good job of this, starting a venture fund, making a lot of really good bets. I think we'll maybe see more of that, where Serena Williams has a big venture fund. Her sister Venus is getting into it. And so there's probably some white space there for celebrities to come in, have the brand associated with them, sort of launch it as a family office where it's probably a bit of their money and then some of their friends who are other celebrities' LP money, and then kind of pick and choose if you're going to incubate, if you're going to invest in a company and become the spokesperson as a way to have additional upside in what you're investing in. And so I think maybe we'll see more of that as well as a potential thing going forward, as more celebrity founded venture funds.
Yeah, I could definitely imagine that, or at least when times get better in venture world. And people, you know, need to put their money to work again. Yeah.
I still think we should rename the podcast to what did I say? It's all on fire, or it's all right.
Everything's all right. This is fine. I think we have a lot of,
or
things
this
we
is
need to put another poll out there. Yeah,
we do. Well, cool. That's today's episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We've been told we need some more original content. I think this is pretty original. Who else is doing a 25-minute episode on celebrity investor / entrepreneur / whatever else these people do to keep making more and more money? The rich get richer while we just stay poor. And so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, post us on Twitter, roast us on Twitter. I'm no longer buying anyone Glizzy hot dogs because it's draining my bank account. So don't ask me for any more Glizzies.
No more marketing budget left. We need Ryan Reynolds to come in as a partner here, and then we can
I was hoping that
Glizzies.
he would be the guest on this episode. That would have been a lot of fun.
Sad. Maybe next time. All right.
Next time he sells a company.
See you next week.
See ya.